Welcome to Holyoke Media. Great space. Just put in a plug here for Holyoke Media. After we do these announcements today and we're done here, Scott McPherson, who's our director of Holyoke Media, will be happy to give you a tour of the building so you can go around and see the wonderful things that are going to be happening in this asset that we have here in our city of Holyoke. I'm Joshua Garcia, Mayor of the City of Holyoke. In just a moment, I'm going to pass it to our Council President, Todd McGee, who, let me tell you, I appreciate his partnership on the council since I've came in being mayor. Him and I work together on a lot of things. I say all the time, there's nothing he doesn't know that happens in my office that he doesn't know. Sometimes I tell him a little too much where he's like, hey, I got another job, Josh, so you know. But him and I, work together. I know these were mayoral final allocations, but it was a lot of pressure for me, and I was very happy to have Todd McGee by my side, combing through that list one more time and getting a consensus of what these final allocations are going to be. This is great that we have this tranche of 19 million additional that we can put out there into the community and take care of some needs. Challenging at the same time because we have a lot of needs. Shout out and credit to former Mayor Murphy, who facilitated the first tranche of the ARPA money. And obviously, when he was here, it was a very different time than where we are today. We were in the middle of COVID. There was a lot of immediate need, and Mayor Murphy acted very quickly with the administration to do what we needed to do to help navigate issues that the pandemic has been created to many organizations and departments in the city. Very different time now than we were in the middle of the pandemic. We've put a lot of thought in being very strategic and focused. That's going to offer the much longer term greatest impact. And of course, that was challenging because everything that everybody does as they submitted applications is exactly that, strategic focus, and in some way, shape, or form offers a long-term impact to the city. Either way, you're gonna hear shortly from Alicia after you hear from our council president. She's gonna go in and talk about process, what we did to get here to try to help us prioritize where these funding allocations go. And just to let you know, after you hear from Alicia, we'll make these announcements that this is not necessarily the final round. You have to survive the raft of Alicia to go over your scopes and get into a contract. Right now, these announcements are saying, yes, we're committing X amount to these projects. You do still have to work with Alicia in the timeline she's gonna talk about to be sure that what we're getting into contract with you, that's indeed eligible for the funding you're going to get. And, if there's things that we can move around, maybe, if there's flexibility there if there's going to be like a true up round, right? There's going to be additional funding for whatever reason. And at that time, myself, the council president, Alicia, will come together and see how we can support those organizations that didn't get anything. But again, this is a very good day. I'm very excited to go through this list, but before we do, I'm gonna pass the microphone to the great Todd McGee, our City Council President.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. How is everyone? Come on, today's a good day. Today's a day where they're giving out money. I mean, I put in my application. Alicia shot that down as quick as possible. But no, I want to thank the mayor for his kind words. And two, it really is. It's a great partnership. Ever since he got on, it's been full communication, full transparency. And that's what makes government work best, when people are working together. You're not going to agree on everything. But when you work together, you come to a compromise. You come to what is best for the city as a whole. And I can't thank him enough for allowing me to be a part of that process. Also, for Alicia and her team, I mean, you couldn't get a finer department head, a finer team together to deal with the money that you had before you. I mean, Mayor Murphy, when he came in to set it up and get it going, it really goes through Alicia and her team to make sure they follow the process correctly so that the city doesn't get in trouble. And there are many times in the meeting when I was sitting with the mayor, I'm like, oh, can we do this? And she's like, no. I'm like, well, but no, not because she was no to me. It was because there's a process, there's rules, and she knows them inside and out. You are a godsend to the city of Holyoke, and I can't thank you enough. Now, I do believe the mayor got me up here just because when we do the allocations, not everyone got something. And he's going to say that was Todd's fault. And I understand that. I'll take that. But if you look at it, and I thank Dennis for putting the information out there, there's $19 million to be allocated. $63 million of need. That's huge. So the city has a lot of needs, but through the leadership of the mayor, the team that he has behind him, the city council, everyone working together, we allocated out which is best and fair for this round to then bring the city the next step. So I hope you understand that and understand that the amount of work that went into it should not be forgotten because it was a tremendous amount of work. So thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon and a wonderful weekend.
Before I introduce Alicia up, our Director of Community Development, courtesy of Mike Hamels. Mr. Hamels is in the room. Where is he? There he is. He's brought in some snacks. Please take them so I don't eat them later by myself.
I gotta call back for more food.
But courtesy of Hamels, thank you so much for the snacks. At this time, I want to introduce Alicia Zoeller, Director of Community Development.
Wow, this is wild up here. So I'm Alicia Zoeller. I'm the administrator for the Office for Community Development. Have been absolutely thrilled, honored, and feel privileged every day to come to my office and do this work. Back in 2021, in the spring of 2021, the Office for Community Development, Zaida, Jennifer, and I were just kind of bumping along, doing our thing with Home and CDBG. Then Acting Mayor Murphy came to me and said, hey, we're gonna get like $40 million, what do you think? Can you manage it? And in the federal grants world, whether we're managing $1 or $40 million, all of the standards apply. And so we took on the task, and here we are today. So it's just been a wild ride. So I do have a few thank yous, so bear with me. So first I want to thank Mayor Garcia for his continuing transparent and equity-based approach to this process. It would be very easy to say, I'm the mayor, I'm going to allocate the money the way I see fit, allocate it, and then walk away and leave the community to pick up the pieces. But he is not, and from day one, he has absolutely walked the walk and talked the talk about making sure that everything that we did, while folks may not agree with it, they may not be happy with the outcomes, has been entirely transparent. Everything we do is available on our website. All you have to do is call our office. We will get you spreadsheets and reports. It's all out there. I also want to thank the City Council, President Todd McGee. He's been a wonderful partner. And I really want to give a rousing round of applause for my OCD team. Zaida and Ashley, we can't... I'm up here speaking with all of you because they wouldn't want to do this in a million years, but this work, the federal regulations, the accuracy to the penny, every single day, the questions, the responses, they have been just incredible, and you can't find a better community development team anywhere in the world. And I also want to note that with the passing of Jennifer Martins, we brought on a senior citizen volunteer intern to our office, Jackie Bradshaw. She's been answering our phone for the last 3 months. And so a thank you and a shout out to Jackie, because I'm sure she wondered, where the heck did I land? Because we're running here and running there and the phone's ringing. I want to thank all of my fellow department heads and city staff. Again, we couldn't do this with all of you. You know, we may be bringing on an extra 30 projects, but I also know that it trickles down to the auditor and to the procurement department and to the law department. And so all of the extra work that OCD has brought on, it trickles down through all of the offices in City Hall. As part of the process over the last year, we've worked closely with the Health Resources and Action Team, HRIA. They were the ones that knocked on our door about 1.5 years ago and said, hi, we're here, we're fully funded, and we want to work with you. It's not going to cost the city anything. They brought in a professional team of community organizers, data analysts, outreach teams, and they've been working in the city since, and I have to give a huge shout out because we would never have gotten to today without HRIA. I want to thank the members of the CAC because they've spent hours and hours and hours reviewing all 84 proposals and budgets and asking questions and meeting for hours on end. And I also want to give a special shout out to the members of the community who participated in this process. I've been doing CD work now in Holyoke for about 10 years or so. We've never had the outpouring of comments and calls and emails and people at meetings and people participating in charrettes that we've had through this process. So I'm really proud that we've hit every corner of the community. We had an overwhelming number of public comments that came in Spanish, which is just remarkable. We've never seen that before. So I know that we really have a truly based, community-based approach here. In terms of what is the American Rescue Plan Act, just a refresher that the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds were authorized through the American Rescue Plan Act to deliver $350 billion to state, territorial, local, and tribal governments across the country to support the response to and recovery from COVID-19. The city was awarded a total of $37,686,567. $7 went to Todd. For coffee, yes. But he would know, if he really knew Part 200, he would know that Part 200 doesn't allow for the payment of food and beverages. So there we go. That's why they keep me around. And the idea of it was to turn the tide on the pandemic. No, we'll stick Ashley and Zaida on you. To turn the tide of the pandemic, address the economic fallout, and provide a basis for a strong and equitable recovery. As a reminder, funds can only be used in 5 areas, and that's supporting public health recovery, addressing the negative economic impacts, replacing lost public sector revenue, providing premium pay to essential workers, and making key investments in water and sewer. Funds must be used to address those negative economic impacts, and primarily for households that we have, not we, but the U.S. Treasury has designated as disproportionately impacted. In the city of Holyoke, that's about 68% of our residents, and for those located in QCTs or qualified census tracts. Again, primarily most of Holyoke at this point. So in our first tranche, if you remember back to 2021, under the Acting Mayor Murphy, we funded 38 agencies with 47 activities. Some of those projects have already been done, money spent, project closed. Those include turnout gear for the Holyoke Fire Department, the city clerk digitization of records projects. We have a couple of new homes that were built for first-time homebuyers by Habitat for Humanity. And we have a new water line at Hamden and Dwight Street thanks to the Holyoke Waterworks. Some projects remain underway. Those include the improvements to the municipal buildings. I know that we're underway because when we had those heavy thunderstorms earlier in the week, the water was pouring into the annex. So I know they haven't gotten to the roof on that one. Working on it. We'll get there. As well as some really great improvements down at the Jones Ferry River Access Center. Some projects are winding down. Originally, $800,000 was allocated to small business. I'm proud to say that to date, we've supported 47 small businesses here in the city of Holyoke. Each one of them received about $25,000. Unfortunately, we've lost a few along the way. Others are thriving, continuing to expand. As we've kind of recovered from the pandemic, we've shifted our activities a little bit from the first round. You remember that Mayor Murphy had allocated what we call a public health response. I'm going to call it a slush fund, but it's a slush fund that was primarily meant to deal with crisis, COVID recovery, COVID-related public health matters. So that fund can only be accessed on the agreement of the Board of Health, Sean Gonzalez, the director, and the mayor. And if the two of them get together and agree that there's a public health issue here, the funds can get moved and a project can get set up. And so from that fund, we've been able to do the Flex Squad. You've seen the weekend code enforcement cases. We've been able to hire outside legal counsel to bring on some additional support around the most challenging code enforcement cases here in the city, and I understand that project is going really, really well. And we were able to partnership with Revitalize CDC to support our older adults with specialized housing needs. As the months have gone on, we've been identifying more and more seniors, older adults, who are suffering from terrible mental illness, mental health issues, isolation as a result of the pandemic, and that's translating into some interesting and troublesome housing trends. And so in order to avoid homelessness, we've been directing some funds specifically for our older population, and that program's going really well as well. So, turning to where we're at today, this has been a year-long process. When I tell you it's a year, when I went back through my emails to write my notes for today, we started planning for today in June of 2022. We started with a business survey of 80 businesses. We did a community survey last summer, which we had about 670 community members respond. We had 68 statements of interest that were submitted in November. We had 80 people at a community meeting at the Council on Aging in February. And we've had countless meetings with department heads and the mayor's advisory councils. So that brings us to today. Today we have 84 2023 ARPA proposals totaling $62 million in requests. We have $19 million to allocate. We received over 70 letters of support and comments during the period. Those are only the ones that came to the Office for Community Development. I know both the mayor and Todd had received a lot of comments and visits as well. We had 4 public meetings to review the 2023 ARPA proposals. OCD staff has made its recommendations. And so today I'm pleased to say that 27 proposals have been selected for funding. Some of those are continuing projects that were funded in the first round, and some of them will be new. I also, for the taxpayers, I want them to know that the work that's been done to administer these grants has not fallen on the taxpayers whatsoever. The funding that is necessary to pay for our salaries and the costs associated with this grant come out of the grant. And I'm really proud to say that it's less than 3.4% of the overall grant to support the Office of Community Development, which is really low when you think about overhead for this. So what are our next steps? And this is where I put on my no hat. And if you all know me, you know that we only say no when we absolutely have like the regulation to point to. We really try to get to yes for all of you. So what are our next steps? All of the awards that are announced today are conditional, and I put conditional in all caps. Awardees are going to be required to meet U.S. Treasury requirements, including those for Part 200 and the financial management portion of it. Construction projects will be required to pay Davis-Bacon federal prevailing wages to make sure that people in our community have living wages for federally funded projects. They'll be required to comply with Section 3, have an OPM, and required MWBE business standards. All U.S. Treasury standards and reporting requirements continue to change. And if you don't believe me on that, Ashley and I received an email yesterday, June 15th, I think it was, yesterday, that said, effective April 1st, you will no longer be allowed to use U.S. Treasury dollars for this kind of project. I'm like, well, they must mean April 1st, 2024. Nope, it was an email that came out yesterday that was shutting funding off for April 1st, 2023. So they were like 2.5 months late. So when I say the standards are constantly changing, I mean like literally somebody at the U.S. Treasury is like, oh, shoot, we forgot to tell them this, and they're emailing. So each awardee is currently being reviewed. So the mayor has told us where he wants the funding to go. And so each awardee is currently being reviewed and will receive an award letter in the coming weeks with conditions. Anybody who's going to get an award, listen up. All 2023 awardees must meet their conditions and execute their ARPA agreements by December 29th, 2023 to avoid withdrawal of the award. We have a very strict timeline. If folks are unable to execute a contract in the next 6 months, we are forced to withdraw your award because we have to commit our projects in the Treasury by next year. And in order for us to do a reprogramming process and collect new applications and figure out who would be funded in the next round, we have to back that timeline all the way up. So the mayor will hand out, we have blue sheets explaining the timeline, but understand that for those who are funded in this round, we're gonna be moving really quickly. And if you are unable to meet the federal requirements, or you don't want to meet the federal requirements, we will be forced to withdraw the award. Finally, for anybody that wasn't funded today, this is only one piece of the puzzle, the funding puzzle. We actually still continue to receive quite a bit of money to deal with COVID. So over the next few months, we're gonna be going out and soliciting for housing projects and homelessness services through the Home ARP program. We're gonna be soliciting for low and moderate income housing development through our home program. We have some CDBG CV funds that we're gonna be reprogramming and asking folks for proposals for that. I remind you that our micro enterprise business grant program is open and well-funded for low and moderate income households who have micro enterprise businesses. And finally, for the first time in the history of the city, we'll be pursuing the Section 108 program to access a $6 million credit line with HUD to do some parks improvement projects. So this isn't the end. So with that, I turn it back to the mayor.
Didn't get any more clear than that. Great job, Alicia. Just a few points. When she made reference to OCD team, please know that that means Office of Community Development. Other important point, because I don't want rumors to go around the street, the $7 thing is not true. Todd didn't get $7. That was a joke. And also, I again, before we go down this list, from since I came in a year and 7 months ago and I went through my rounds with CDBG and now through this, and meeting with many folks out in the community, trying to understand the need, the request for different resources, just know that it's extremely helpful for us to know these things, because behind the scenes, we do talk a lot about, we keep our finger really close on the pulse, right? So, when I'm meeting regularly with our state rep, or Alicia says, hey, I got some CDBG funds we need to reprogram or reallocate, I reference the list. We keep these things so that we can say, okay, great, let's, there's this program that needed this issue or this, especially for the senator and the state rep who's always asking, hey, what is it in Holyoke can we support? I give them that list. Here are some things that I was able to support. Maybe look at these things and see how you can help us, meet some of these needs. So it's great that these were submitted just for our own planning purposes and how we navigate limited resources. When I announce your program, if you could just, whoever's in here that's in charge of that program, 1 minute, if you could just come up and just say, yes, this is the project and this is what we're gonna do, that'd be great. The first one that I have here in the area of housing, we have $2 million to help close the gap for the South Holyoke Homes Phase 2 project. $2 million for the Housing Authority. All right.
Thank you. It's really bright up here. If I had known, I think I would have powdered this spot on my head, kill that shine. So obviously the Housing Authority is really excited about receiving this $2 million because we know what the end result is going to be. It's going to be housing for those folks in a community that hasn't seen an investment in housing for decades. And so we are currently housing 12 folks that were successfully moved in over the course of the last several weeks. That's the first phase of our South Holyoke Homes production of housing around the Carlos Vega Park. And just to have an anecdote about how important and how much there is a need for housing, we received over 1,000 applications for 12 units of housing. So we recognize that there's a need. I think COVID, I'm going to try and make sure it's only a minute. But we recognize that COVID really highlighted the need for housing for folks. And we've also recognized as a housing authority, off the success of our Hope 6 program, that one tool doesn't fit all needs. And so being able to get funding for home ownership is important because we want to be able to provide all the tools in the toolbox for folks to be successful. We know rental is successful for some folks, but we also recognize that people might be able to take advantage of home ownership and be able to grow generational wealth. And so we're very excited about this particular project, and the funding we're receiving today, it will go a long way for making sure that we get folks into homes. So thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Todd, and thank you, Alicia. And trust me, we'll meet the December deadline.
The next one here, we have $100,000 to help close the gap over at the historic Appleton Mill Restoration and Affordable Housing Project, Wind Development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Council President. For Wind Development, we're proud to be here in Holyoke. We're taking on the FAR Alpaca Company Appleton Mills project. Building has seen better days. We're going to transform that into 88 income-restricted senior housing units and bring that building back to its former glory in a Phase 1 program. And with the wonderful welcome that we've had here and our continued bullishness on Holyoke, we're going to be looking forward to Phase 2 to follow on that. So in about 20 months to 24 months, the first phase will be complete, and then we'll be on to Phase 2. And we're going to be good neighbors, so if you've got good causes, let us know. We want to be here to support them. Thank you.
All right, so the next I have on our list here, we have our friends over at, it's $100,000 for Revitalize Community Development Corporation, asthma remediation and age-in-place home modifications for Holyoke residents impacted by the COVID-19. Anybody here from Revitalize? Come on up.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate this. So the work that Revitalize does with asthma patients has proven to be very amazing. The patients are very grateful to receive the funding and the services from us through your help. So thank you for approving this. And the newer age in place for the home modifications, helping our older population be able to live longer in their own homes and more comfortably. So thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We have public health response. You heard Alicia talk a little bit about the public health response funding source. $300,000. Is Sean here? Nope, no Sean. I know Alicia did give a plug a lot about what that funding source does to help kind of navigate quality of life issues and enforcement issues. And so that's where that funding source is coming for. Also, we have $336,000 to sustain the costs for the ShotSpotter system, Holyoke Police Department. Anybody here from Holyoke Police? Captain, come on up. How we doing, Captain? Great. I know the chief's on vacation this week.
Good day, everyone. Captain Matt Moriarty. I'm a pinch hitter today for the chief. So I do feel bad for you because whether it's forward or backwards, you're going to get blinded. So I'll try to tilt down. So ShotSpotter, I know it's been in the news. We've had great results with it. It's a great software program. And it's great getting into the 21st century with some of the technology that's out there to protect our citizens. We've had a lot of partnerships. And if everything goes well, we're going to be expanding farther up into the ISO mall area. Several companies are there banding together, and we might get some progress. So we're going to have more coverage throughout the city. When we first had it, we were getting a lot of activations, and now that they know we have it, our activations are going down, which I'm seeing as it's keeping the public that much more safe. So thank you very much. Pinch hitting, I'm done.
Thank you, Captain. We have here also $40,000 for our friends over at the Community Education Project. They have an ESOL program. Are our friends from the Community Education Project here today? Nope, nope. Oh. Just so that folks know, they operate out of Main Street. They run an ESL program. Many folks, especially during Hurricane Maria, when people migrated here and didn't speak any English or limited English, certainly having that program there available to offer ESL courses to our Holyoke residents has been a beneficial program to the city. We also have here $150,000, Valley Opportunity Council, Nueva Esperanza. Come on up, Kayla. No? Here's Steve Huntley, the Executive Director. This is for Mercado renovations. Tell us what the Mercado is and the importance to the community.
So El Mercado at Nueva Esperanza is a banquet hall, which we provide to the community affordably. And if we can extend it now, thanks to you all, we will be making it to a cultural center and extending it and making it bigger for the rest of the community.
So VOC is happy to partner with Nueva Esperanza, who's on its way out of some darker days. And we just are thrilled to see an art and cultural center on Main Street in Holyoke, exactly where it belongs. Thank you.
Thank you. I have here for Parks and Recreation, $220,000 for a playground modification. Is either the school department or our Director of Parks and Rec here? Nobody? All right, well, it's $220,000 for a playground rehabilitation. We got also $200,000 to support the ongoing Flex Squad work. There's $1,500,000 to support some clearance and demolition projects. Is our building commissioner here? No. We have $800,000, another $800,000 to support the business support program. I think maybe Aaron and Alicia might be able to talk to this, but just a little bit about it. You've heard that there was $800,000 for up. This program is going to be somewhat little different. This is to help our businesses that are operating here and are having, let's say, code compliance issues, sprinkler systems maybe. I'm sure we've heard a lot about that. I've gotten the calls. But to help our businesses meet that gap so that they can continue to operate and among other things. So Alicia, if you want to talk a little bit about the program.
Sure. So in our first $800,000, like I said, we allocated up to about $25,000 for small business. It was for general support. So folks used it to pay insurances, rent, payrolls, to address supply chain issues, increased costs, that sort of thing. We're going to pivot with this second $800,000. And as the mayor has said, it's going to be used for code compliance. So what we've run into is where a lot of the folks were shuttered for 1 or 2 or for 3 years. When the fire department has been going back in to do their inspections, which are required for their alcohol licenses and their licenses to operate and their business certificates and all of that, they're finding that folks are way out of compliance. The cost associated with bringing them into compliance is driving some businesses to look at shuttering themselves. And so by providing some of these COVID relief funds to address those negative economic impacts, specifically for code enforcement or code compliance, like fire suppression systems, sprinklers, radio boxes that connect right to the fire station, even technology the mayor was describing where if the music is playing and the fire alarm goes off, the music shuts down if you're in like a nightclub. We're going to be helping those businesses. Particularly our nonprofit social clubs seem to be really impacted. So we'll be working with the fire department and with Aaron and his team, with the License Commission, the mayor's office, to make sure that those businesses and organizations that most need the help are going to get it. So we're going to be creative with how we approach it, and you'll see that program rolled out in the next couple of months. And I think I used more than a minute.
Thank you, Alicia. We have here the Greater Holyoke Chamber of Commerce, $75,000. Jordan Hart, the Executive Director, who also was Business West 40 Under 40 last night, so congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm sure many of you know what the Greater Holyoke Chamber does, but what we've been doing for the past 2 years since I've taken over as Executive Director, we've been really trying to do a lot more with the community and really be the bridge between the businesses and the community at large. We're the fiscal agent for a number of different projects, including Holyoke's 150th, Mass Development's TDI. We help support the Paper City Food Festival, and it's only me in the office doing all of this. Not including supporting our businesses and being able to provide value to our membership. So this will be able to help us grow our capacity, and I can't thank you both enough and the community enough. So thanks again, and hopefully see you at an upcoming chamber event.
Thank you, Jordan. The chamber is critical to our post-pandemic, direction we're going. Try to bring back vibrancy and cultural activities in our downtown, business growth, and so forth. So this was a great give here. We also have our Friends of the Holyoke Merry-Go-Round, $30,000 to update bathroom facilities. Our friends from the merry-go-round here? All right, so that's, there's the merry-go-round, the Children's Museum, I gotta tell you, bring people from all over to come visit our downtown. And so obviously, we were very supportive in doing what we can to make sure that they're able to continue the work that they do and receive these guests to recreate in our downtown area. We have here 150 for 150. The 150th Holyoke celebration, Aaron, or?
Good afternoon, everybody. Great to see everybody, and just so great to have Wind Development here. And also, just to make a note, it's 55 and over, not senior apartments, just 55 and over. So just to make that clarity, we're excited to get the support for the 150th celebration. Many of you have been involved in that. Again, working with Jordan on this has been great. This is a way to really support our businesses, to support the events that have happened, and there's going to be a lot of talk in that book about how we recovered post-pandemic. Being 150, a lot of people said, Holyoke's only 150? Westfield just celebrated their 350th? Well, we're much older than 150, but we were incorporated as a city 150 years ago. So one of the great things we're going to be doing this fall, and you're going to get some press on this pretty soon, is we're going to have a time capsule. And so we're going to be opening that time capsule. It's going to live up in the upstairs ballroom of the City Hall, and it's going to be open in 50 years. So if there's any young people out here or people who have kids, hopefully in 50 years they'll be here to open it up. But again, Jordan, thank you to everything you've been doing to support the 150th. So, thank you.
I got nothing else.
All right.
Aaron, one more. We have also 150 for to supplement the master planning or the comprehensive plan for the city of Holyoke.
Sure. All right, so more money. So comprehensive master plan for the city, ours is about 23 years old. This is in a time when cannabis wasn't legal, the idea of moving forward with municipal vulnerability plans, being more aware of energy generation, making sure that the city's prepared for the future, be it economically or environmentally. So unfortunately, these plans cost between $300,000 and $500,000 once all consultants and experts are brought into the table, but this will be a roadmap for us for the next 20 years. And one thing that the mayor has said from day one, and he says it to me a lot since I happen to be the director of the Planning and Economic Development Office, is you get what you plan for. So here we go.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, we also have $2 million, MIFA Victory Theater. Come on up.
Who cares about the Tonys, the Oscars? There used to be Golden Globes. This is the only other moment I can think of as exciting in this town for me, and in addition to seeing all of the familiar faces here in the room, I want to give a particular shout out. Kathy McKeon is sitting in the back. Please stand up, Kathy. In 2005,
I went before the city council and I said, if you will not tear that building down, I will see that it will get open. That was 2005. This award is the most significant award that is going to ensure that we are in the final phase of getting that theater open, which will be bringing nightly 1,100 to 1,600 people to our beautiful 150 and older city. So I can't thank everyone enough for the confidence in this project. I'm going to say it again. This is going to open. I absolutely want you to understand that this is going to open, and it's going to be an exciting night. It's going to be the third most exciting night for me. So thank you very much.
Don, let them know what I always say.
Okay, the mayor, who's a tough customer, and I know what wants me to say. Unless that gets open, he's going to tear it down. Did I get it right?
We're going to knock it down. No,
I'm going to
thank
see
you,
that
Don.
it doesn't happen, because we all deserve this. You'll see how great it is.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Don.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Holyoke Elks parking lot used for the Ashley Reservoir visitors, 100,000. Are our folks from the Elks here? Do you want to say a few words on that one? And just to let you know, the water department, I see Dave Conti is here. It's extremely great that the water department allows us to recreate at the reservoir, the Ashley Reservoir. A lot of us visit it all the time. It's beautiful. And the folks at the Elks with that parking lot has been a longtime partner with this city in not closing that parking lot or charging people to park there so that we can recreate at the Elks. There's been fundraisers that happen around that reservoir. And so, you know, this is a good, just from Todd and I having conversations, I'm sure many people will agree, a good partnership here that we can offer to continue that commitment of, you know, allowing the public to continue to recreate there and then have a place to park so we can recreate there. We have also Holyoke Fire Department, personal protective equipment, $109,472. We see Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. This is going to give us the ability to buy some personal protective equipment and some firefighter safety equipment that we otherwise wouldn't be able to. We're going to be looking at getting particulate blocking hoods. The cancer firefighters have a real propensity to getting cancer all around their face because of the carcinogens that get through our hoods in the fire. So this is, you know, it's a fairly expensive hood compared to what we buy. So it gives us the ability to do that. We're going to be looking at getting some new stuff for helping identify the firefighters on the fire ground. And then there's some extrication and rescue equipment that we're going to be purchasing with it.
Awesome. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
We have here City of Holyoke Central Fueling Station replacement, $1,930,000. We have Chris Baker, our city engineer.
Thanks, Mayor. So this, the central fueling station, if you don't know where it is, it's on Commercial Street, located behind the fire station. And this is just an absolutely critical facility for the infrastructure of the city. All of the city departments use it: fire, police, our ambulance services, and the DPW. So this is a 24/7 facility. It has a generator, so anytime there's an emergency in the city, whether it be, you know, a weather-related emergency with plowing or any kind of, you know, larger, you know, hopefully that doesn't happen, but, you know, flood fighting services, everything relies on this station. It's 20 years old. It's beyond its useful life, and this is not a brag, but this thing, as of 3 months ago, this was actually on a dial-up modem, the fuel management system. So that's how outdated it is.
It's not funny.
So we're very happy to be able to replace this station and just make sure that all the city departments can continue to run and be able to rely on this station where it won't go down when it's really needed.
Stay up here, Chris. I think we got another one. And it's also an environmental issue too, I'm sure, right? We also have $250,000 to support the engineering work necessary for rehabilitating the City Hall parking deck behind City Hall.
That's fine.
I think I'm gonna have to do some reprogramming. We might. It's $3 million total, but I'm trying to support people, so it was hard. But design work is expensive. You get what you plan for. So.
Yep, this is a little bit of a complicated design problem just because of the state that it's in and the environmental concerns underneath the parking deck. But if anyone's visited City Hall and parked as a visitor, you know the state of that lot and the parking deck and the structure of it. So we can at least get started, and then we can find out what exactly it's going to take to get it replaced or rehabilitated, and then find funding to actually go through with the construction later.
Thank you. And then, thank you. Are you city building upgrades, or is that you? Okay. Is there anybody else? Maybe Sean, Sheedy, DPW director, anybody here? So you can speak to it. So we have here, and this is a big one, $4 million for city building upgrades. We're talking about City Hall Annex, DPW building, our police station, among other publicly owned buildings.
Yep, so this is a continuation of a project that Mayor Murphy allocated $4 million during the last round. So there's just all of our city buildings have a lot of deferred maintenance, and they've added up to needing major capital upgrades over the years. And so, like Alicia alluded to, it does rain in the annex. When it's raining outside, it's also raining indoors. All the trash cans that are out are not just because we generate a lot of trash. It's actually to correct the rainwater. So, so like the mayor said, this is primarily for City Hall Annex, City Hall, the DPW building, police station. There'll be some major upgrades. Most of it is the building envelope, so replacing roofs and then enhancing the employee work spaces, whether it be improving air quality by getting rid of very old carpets and remediating asbestos tiling and things of that nature. So it'll just be an upgrade and being able to move some people around and get departments that work together on a regular basis seating in the same area. So that's
perfect. And since I have you up here, we also have here the Springdale Sewer Pump Station Assessment Preliminary Design, $117,803.
Okay. This project, when I came into the office, the first thing I saw actually was a state revolving fund application to get this work done from 1997. So this sewer pumping station is located in the Springdale Park neighborhood. It's now going on 50 years old. It requires maintenance. It's really the most heavily maintained of our sewer pumping station. It's in dire need of replacement. So this money will allow us to get through a design and then hopefully go after state revolving fund money, which is a 2% low interest loan in the future. But this is really the first step in taking a look at what's going on with this station. And another benefit of it is that it's also one of our combined sewer overflow locations. So a potential upgrade to the station could also help mitigate to some extent the amount of combined sewer overflows into the Connecticut River. So it's a really important upgrade project.
Thank you so much, Chris. Is City Clerk here? I have $26,580 for Select Agenda and Meeting Management System from Civic Plus. Anyone from the clerk's office? Do you know about that system? I know she uses it to manage all the council agendas and minutes and. Oh, sweet. Jeffrey's here. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, our City Council Admin Assistant, Jeffrey Anderson Burgos.
Yeah, so this is primarily, thanks. This is primarily going to be run through the city clerk's office, but I'll be working with Brenna and her staff to train up on what's happening. And next month, actually, we're going to be working with Civic Plus to improve the program that kind of our agendas and all of the items that come with it go through as kind of an act of. The program we're using now is over 20 years old. It doesn't have any support anymore. So this is largely going to impact both efficiency in her office as well as my own work and improve transparency as well. So it'll be easier for you as the public to be able to access meeting records and all of that. So looking forward to those improvements.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I don't know if anybody from IT is here. IT? Nope. But just, I'm sure folks heard me say this at the State of the City. We are looking forward to invest $1,185,688 to upgrade our technology in our local government, our network. We've already done some major upgrades in our servers. We're going to be, now that our server's upgraded, we're going to be investing in upgrading the Munis system that manages all of our accounting functions, which I hear is 6 versions behind. I think it's about to break or it's on its last leg. Either way, we're going to bring our local government to the 21st century as it relates to IT infrastructure in the city. We also have here Mr. David Conti, $1,350,000 for water main improvement projects.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council President.
In case you don't know, this is our director of the water department. I know people are watching at home too. Not all the time do we get to see who's behind the scenes, but
Yeah.
you saw your city engineer, you met the community director, now you know economic development director, now the person that runs the water
Yeah,
department.
and I'd like to stay behind the scenes too. But sincere thanks to Alicia and her team at OCD. Tremendous group to work with. And I am extremely excited to be here today and want to thank everybody that supported this project. This Water Street project's been on the books now for decades. Decades we've been aware of the problems down there with regards to fire protection, water quality, and redundancy. And this project addresses that. And this project will benefit not only improved fire protection, but resiliency and redundancy, but also water quality for the properties HG&E, 111 Mosier Street, ESG, Mass Elder Care, all those properties are going to benefit. And there's indirect benefit on Canal Street for all the properties in adjoining side streets. So, and further, this project's going to promote the development on Water Street for for the future of Holyoke. So it's an exciting project. I'm glad to be part of it, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dave. And I know I've gotten, for anybody that's at home, has been calling my office about the construction work on Dwight Street. You got to call him. He's the guy. But it's good work, I promise. We also have here Holyoke Gas and Electric to upgrade their Holyoke broadband network, $124,000. Is anyone here from HG&E? Well, so they submitted for ARPA funds to upgrade their broadband network that they own there. And then last but not least, and this is the least sexy thing, but obviously, as you heard from Alicia, extremely important when it comes to adequate management of these resources, reporting, making sure that later the federal government doesn't come knocking on our door, asking for us to pay money back, which I think the state of Massachusetts, I just really heard, is probably dealing with. I don't know. But $800,000 between now and the next 3 years to continue to, offer the oversight and admin management of these resources and working directly with you all. And there is also about $800,000 of holdback, uncommitted. So we want to see where things are. I don't anticipate we'll ever go backwards, but you never know. And then also give us a little bit of flexibility to further plan, see where some of these projects land. If they don't come to fruition or whatever, we can leverage that and continue to try to proactively address some of these applications that were submitted. Did I miss anyone? Was that all of it? I think I got all of it. What's this? Nope, I said that. And that's it. I think that concludes it. I have copies here. Put it on the table. Put that on the table. That's the list. It's the full list of, like Alicia alluded to, the advisory committee, OCD, DGR, city council, and then final award. You can review other applications, where they were in the process, who was recommending what and so forth, so feel free to grab a copy. Also over there, the blue paper are the important dates, deadlines Alicia put together as she tries to manage this airplane between now and when funds need to be fully expended per the guidelines of the federal government, which is in allocated and expended. And so that's just, you know, important deadlines that people should have and make sure that you're working and meeting those objectives and those targets. So with that, Mr. President, do you want to say anything else?
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic. That concludes that. Scott McPherson's going to offer a tour for anybody who wants to stick around and get a tour of the whole building. Thank you so much, and we'll continue the work.